Hey everyone! In today's video, we're breaking down the latest episode of House of the Dragon Season 2. From intense battles to shocking revelations, we'll cover all the key moments and differences from the book. Spoiler warning for those who haven't seen the episode or read Fire and Blood. Let's dive in! Sunday night's episode of House of the Dragon was one of the most intense yet, featuring a dragon scene that matched the tragic finale of Season 1. In that episode, Aemond, Ewan Mitchell, and his massive dragon Vhagar were responsible for the death of young Lucerys. This week's dragon battle was also a standout moment from George R.R. Martin's book Fire and Blood, though the show's version differs significantly. However, as with the scene involving Aemond and Lucerys, I find this change quite appealing. We'll delve into that shortly. In this episode, King Aegon, Tom Glyn Carney, faces a tough time when he discovers during a small council meeting that Aemond and Sir Criston Cole, Fabian Frankel, have been managing the war efforts without his involvement. Feeling outraged, he tries to stop them from attacking the castle at Rook's Rest, expressing his desire to capture Harrenhal instead. His Master of Whisperers, Sir Larys Strong, the Lord of Harrenhal, tells him that Harrenhal is in a poor state and will only serve to confuse Daemon, Matt Smith. Aemond informs Aegon that it's too late to halt the attack on Rook's Rest, since Cole is already preparing for it. Aemond then speaks to Aegon in Valyrian to keep their conversation private, showing his fluency in the language while Aegon's broken reply reveals his lack of practice. Aemond taunts his brother, pointing out that while Aegon was preoccupied with playing king and appointing sycophants to the Kingsguard, Aemond was busy planning the war. Upset, Aegon runs to his mother, complaining that no one listens to him. "They won't listen to me," he exclaims. She responds with derision, "Do you think wearing the crown suddenly imbues you with wisdom?" Her words wound him even more than Aemond's mockery. Desperate, Aegon asks her what he should do, to which she replies, "Do nothing at all." This advice is hard for the impulsive young king to accept. Later, feeling humiliated, Aegon decides to take his dragon, Sunfire, to Rook's Rest to assist his hand in the battle, unaware that Cole and Aemond have set a trap for the Black's dragons that might come to defend the keep. Rhaenyra, Emma Darcy, returns to Dragonstone to face her own council of discontented members. Even her son, Jace, Harry Collette, is upset by her unexplained absence, and is shocked when she admits she went to King's Landing to meet with Alicent, Olivia Cook, without informing anyone. When she announces her plan to take her dragon Syrax to Rook's Rest, she encounters strong opposition. Jace wants to go instead, but she forbids it. Princess Rhaenys, Eve Best, insists, "You must send me." Her dragon, Meleys the Red Queen, is experienced in battle. They would have been wiser to send more than just one. Rhaenys and Meleys arrive over the battlefield shortly after Cole's assault on the keep begins. She engulfs the field in flames as men-at-arms flee in panic. But this is exactly what Criston Cole had anticipated. He orders signal arrows to be fired, and nearby Aemond and his ancient dragon Vhagar are concealed in the trees. When Sunfire appears over the forest, Cole is speechless. Sir Gawain Hightower is furious. "This was your plan, to risk the king's life!" "No," Cole replies curtly before improvising. He rides out and delivers a rousing speech to the men, telling them they are blessed by the king's presence. Aemond's reaction to his brother's arrival is less eloquent. "Idiot!" he says bitterly in Valyrian. Meleys and Sunfire clash in the skies above Rook's Rest, with tooth and flame, and it quickly becomes apparent that the older dragon and rider have the upper hand. When Vhagar appears, the king lets out a cry of joy, but when Aemond commands Dracarys, and a huge gout of flame erupts from Vhagar, Aegon's relief turns to horror. Both Sunfire and Meleys are engulfed in flames, but the golden dragon takes the brunt of it, and both dragon and rider plummet to the ground. Cole watches in horror and spurs his horse toward his fallen king. Rhaenys flies away but is seized by a kind of madness and turns back to the fight, commanding her dragon to attack. Once again the massive Vhagar and the much smaller Meleys battle in the sky, and once again Rhaenys escapes largely unscathed. But Aemond decides to finish the job, ambushing her as she leaves the battle. The larger dragon bites into the smaller dragon's neck, and then Meleys and Rhaenys are falling. Only Aemond remains airborne, riding the oldest living dragon, the monster that Queen Visenya, sister-wife of Aegon the Conqueror, once rode into battle, whose breath is said to be so hot that it can melt a knight's armor. The episode ends before revealing the fate of Aegon or Rhaenys, but things look grim for both of them. We will briefly discuss the book version. Spoiler warning for those events. In the book, there is no suggestion that Aemond intentionally attacks Aegon. The three dragons clash in the sky and all crash to the ground together. Only Aemond survives unscathed. Aegon is found severely injured, his armor melted to his skin, barely clinging to life. A charred body, believed to be Rhaenys, is discovered beside Meleys's corpse. Sunfire is found with one wing completely torn off and grievously wounded. Aegon remains bedridden for the next year, spending most of his time asleep. Aemond assumes the role of protector of the realm in his stead. What's interesting is how the death of Lucerys was altered. In the show, Aemond is clearly shocked when Vhagar kills his nephew and Lucerys's dragon, Arax. He only intended to frighten Lucerys and almost seemed to regret the killing. Now, over Rook's Rest, he deliberately attacks his own brother without any remorse. This makes sense because, while all the boys teased Aemond as a child, Aegon was the main instigator and chief bully. Aemond saw a chance to eliminate his brother, and took it. This marks the beginning of the Dance of Dragons and the first of many spectacular and incredibly expensive aerial dragon battles. It's truly sad to see Rhaenys, the queen who never was, fall in battle, especially since she could have escaped. I even feel a bit sorry for Aegon, who, despite not being a good king or person, has endured a rather miserable upbringing, spoiled and neglected in ways only princes and princesses can experience. Other notable moments this episode include Daemon's troubles at Harrenhal. Daemon has another dream about a young Rhaenyra, Millie Alcock, in which she speaks to him in what initially sounds like gibberish, but is actually Valyrian. She taunts him, suggesting he resents her because their father loved her more than him. In response, Daemon beheads her with his sword, the first of multiple beheadings in this episode. After this vision, Daemon encounters young Oscar Tully, the grandson of Grover Tully. Interestingly, other characters in the Tully family tree have names resembling Sesame Street characters, such as Elmo Tully, a playful nod from George R.R. Martin. Oscar is unhelpful. Despite his grandfather's incapacity, he refuses to take a leadership role. "I need men of action," Daemon tells him with disdain. Daemon also consults with Alice Rivers, Gale Rankin, a witch who cryptically offers him a potion. After drinking it, Daemon hallucinates during a meeting with a Blackwood lord, seeing one of his deceased wives as the cupbearer. Harrenhal proves to be a disorienting experience for the queen's consort. Meanwhile, Rhaenyra confides in Jace about the Song of Ice and Fire. This is the prophecy Viserys shared with her in the first episode, accompanied by the cat's paw dagger that Aemond wields at the end of this one. Aegon the Conqueror's dream foretells a great evil that only a united Westeros can withstand, the prince who was promised. Rhaenyra must pass this knowledge to her son, as no one else is aware of it. The question remains whether the prophecy will survive the civil war now consuming the kingdom. Did the Mad King, whom Jaime Lannister killed, know about it? Had he shared it with his heir, Rhaegar? Even if he had, Rhaegar's untimely death prevented him from passing it to his own heir. By the time Daenerys rose to power, she was completely unaware of it. Rhaenys discovers that Alan of Hull, Abubakar Salim, is likely the illegitimate son of her husband, Corlys Velaryon, Steve Toussaint. This is strongly suggested when she meets Alan and comments, "Your mother must be very beautiful," noting the striking resemblance between Alan and Corlys, a rare trait in Westeros. She advises Corlys to acknowledge Alan and elevate his status rather than keep him hidden. This scene endears Rhaenys to me even more, especially when compared to Catelyn Stark's disdain for Jon Snow. Alicent has an abortion. The Queen Dowager asks the Grand Maester for a potion, which I initially thought was milk of the poppy for stress relief, but readers clarified it was actually an abortion potion. When Larys visits her, she lies about missing the small council meeting, though it's evident he sees through her deception. It's interesting to note that Larys's name closely resembles Varys, the much less sinister Master of Whisperers from Game of Thrones. Sir Criston Cole proves himself to be a highly skilled commander and strategist. While it's difficult to admire him given his deplorable character, there's no denying his effectiveness in leading troops. Cole is pragmatic, courageous, confident, and tactically astute. His collaboration with Aemond was strategically sound and has successfully put Team Black on the defensive. Overall, this was another outstanding episode in what is shaping up to be an excellent second season of House of the Dragon. I'm both eager and apprehensive about what lies ahead. This is far from a happy tale, but brutal family civil wars rarely are. Aemond is truly living up to his kinslayer reputation. The war would look very different if Laena had lived and Aemond had never claimed Vhagar. This episode stands out as one of the best in the series, combining excitement and devastation in a way that surpasses even the previous violence and death, leading up to the aerial battle. Thanks for watching Narrative Network. Don't forget to subscribe for more captivating stories and discussions. See you next time.